Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It is our weekend program, Saturday Sports Special to be exact. Warm welcome to you wherever you are. It may be morning some places, afternoon, even evening in some areas as well. Always a pleasure welcoming you to our TalkSports program where we, meet and discuss with the movers and shakers of sports, the sportsmen, sportswomen, administrators, just about everyone involved in sports. And on this weekend's program, we'll be speaking with the MP, that's the Member of Parliament for South St. George in Grenada. That's the South St. George constituency in Grenada. Mr. Andy Williams, and we're speaking specifically on the state of sport infrastructure development in that constituency in particular. We have seen over the past few months a number of sporting infrastructure being developed, some of them rehabilitated after years of neglect, as we'll say, and certainly we'll be welcoming the MP who will be speaking about that in a short while. He is getting himself organized and should be joining us soon. What else? We have to, it's the prelude to Intercall 2026. Let me say good afternoon and welcome to co-host Rudian Silvan in Toronto. Rudian, good afternoon to you.
Hey, Michael, good afternoon to you. I hope all is well, and to all the listeners, welcome.
And the same we should have the MP Andy shortly. It just was communicated with him there. He getting himself organized. So just before the minister steps in, we will be and we'll be talking about all that's happening in his constituency, which he wants to speak about. As I indicated, Intercall 2026 is right around the corner. We have been talking about that for a while, and here it is now, Intercall 2026. And as we indicated, it's almost wide open. Everyone's
3 days away.
Chance. Yeah. Everyone has a chance. Okay.
Certainly.
And the excitement will continue because not too long, probably about 2-3 weeks after that, we go into the
2 weeks.
Games, April 5th to the 6th, we have the Carafter Games. So definitely the track and field fans in Grenada have a lot to look out for because the excitement is, beginning to heighten with Intercall. Just a matter of days, in fact, probably 3 days or so, because we have Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. The reckoning starts. Tuesday, Wednesday, the reckoning, and I'm talking about 3 days of reckoning, right? 3 days of reckoning. Let me say good afternoon to you, Mr. Bonnie. Sabodi passed by last weekend. He was in the area and he passed by last weekend. I want to say good afternoon to you. Thank you once again. Thank you for that gift as well, Mr. Bonnie. I know it was, sort of short because, you were moving about and things like that. So, but nice seeing you. Nice, connecting. And thank you once again. Edwin, we not so much so, we you're anticipating the time change, and we spoke about it from last week. When we had the program last week, we said the next program basically will be back on time. We'll be back on time, So we are anticipating and we are saying that for a while, okay? No. Enel, no, Enel. Good afternoon to you, Enel. Well, congrats as well, but this bleeding blue kind of thing there, man.
The thing start.
Yeah. Enel is one of our top basketballers now, and let me see. I think the minister is getting ready to sign on now. Yeah, but good afternoon to you, Enel, and at least I also want to say congrats on that. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it may be on ESPN, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he has what they call it, the dunk of the year. The dunk of it's on ESPN Sports Center top 10 play. Yeah, we'll get that definitely. So congrats on that. He said so that's all the way. Yeah. So Intercall the 2026, as we indicated, right upon us. It will be yeah, March 17th to the 19th. Should have the program. No, no, I probably should check my thing to see if I have the program somewhere there. But the program should be available soon. But I know most of they should be having the technical. I know, for example, this weekend, which is sort of separate, the parents of the athletes selected to represent Grenada for the Carifta Games. They are meeting with the association today, right? And this is traditional. They will meet with the parents and speak with them, explain everything, because the athletes are expected to go into camp shortly, right? Obviously, it's after intercall. Some schools are also getting ready for their own camp for intercall. For example, the defending champions, the Grenada Boys Secondary School, they go into camp on Sunday. Yeah, on Sunday, tomorrow they go into camp, and they will stay in camp until I think Friday, right?
Friday.
Yeah, some will stay until Thursday, but generally, they will stay until yeah. But as indicated from the chairman rather of GAPS, that's Mr. Carl Handel, most of the schools have decided to go into camp. Somewhere or the other, they're camping, right? Yeah, they're camping, and most of them are using schools themselves, yeah. So even, for example, the McDonald College coming all the way from St. Patrick, they decided to camp somewhere in St. George's, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know for some of the other schools whether they will camp in their school, so it is easier for them
to move,
commute on the days of intercall rather than having the athletes coming from all different areas, right? Yeah, as he indicated, having to get the athletes back home after intercall, and then having to ensure that they get home, meaning going to all the crooks and crannies, right? Tracks and traces, to get them home.
Get them home. Yeah.
Rather than having them in one central place, you leave as a group, you return as a group. It means, therefore, that the coaches and the masseur and the physio, can work together.
Everybody can work together.
Yeah, on the athletes in a camp structure, which is better, right? Because you don't want athletes going home and they may have a slight injury and no one to treat them and things like that. So so let me see now. Waiting on the minister to get into the program now, and should be joining us shortly. I think yes, he's saying that. Yeah, give him a minute now. He should be coming in. So the main thing will be for the how much, almost, I think 20-something schools, I think now 20-something schools, believe it or not, will be there to get their points right, because I looked at for example, and it's so interesting. By the way, the minister is on now. He's just getting himself his camera fixed. Yeah, the interesting thing about the Rudy, and adjust the audio. Yeah, the interesting thing about the sports meet is that, for example, the private primary school had first class our first choice, sorry, going into the final day, going into the sports day rather, on 100 plus points, probably about 60 points more than the third, fourth place teams. And it was Alpha, I think, was started the day on probably in fourth or something position, and decidedly won the championship. They won the championship, right? Yeah, they won the championship. So let me say good. Let me see. Yes, I think we are now. So the minister is there. So as indicated, well, again, good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports, where we explore the stories, the ideas, the initiatives shaping sport in Grenada and across the region. Well, this weekend we turn our attention to sports infrastructure and community development in the constituency of South St. George. Well, our guest, as indicated, is Andy Williams, Member of Parliament for South St. George, and he joins us to provide an update on ongoing and planned sports infrastructure projects and to share his vision for how improved facilities can support youth development, community engagement, and the future of sport in the constituency, and that's South St. George. Well, we'll be discussing everything from community playing fields and facility upgrades to long-term plans that could help nurture the next generation of Grenadian sportsmen and women. And as indicated, joining me is my co-host, Rudian Sylvan in Toronto. And let me say good afternoon to MP Andy Williams. Good afternoon to you, sir. I hope you're hearing me. And Minister Williams, are you hearing me?
Michael Muscom. Good afternoon.
Right.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rudian Sylvester.
Yes.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Yes.
Right.
Good afternoon.
Right. Good afternoon. Well, first off, and I know you.
Good afternoon.
Yes, and let me apologize for your delay.
So you want to
start because I know you are engaged. You're mobile now. But first of all, can you provide an update on the current state of sports infrastructure in the constituency of South St. George?
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the show. Are you hearing me good? You hear me good, right?
Yes,
just want to make sure.
Yeah, we are hearing you good. We are hearing you good.
Are you hearing me good?
Yes, we
just
are
making
hearing
sure
you good.
Before I start.
Yes, we are hearing you good. We have a slight delay, but we are hearing you good.
Okay, lovely. So, right. Okay, so basically, as a student of the Grenada Best Secondary School, I think you may know which school I'm speaking about.
Yeah, McDonald College.
I was actually, I was actually great is the GBSS. I just want to say that before I start, right? Great is the GBSS. So actually, I was an athlete in school, one who really, was actively engaged in sports. So, so when I became, or before I was active in politics, I would look at my constituency to see, like, back in the days how things were, and how it was current at the time. And I was a little disappointed because I could tell you, I remember, like, the Grandans court was one of the main courts where we had basketball competitions, not just in the constituency, but in Grenada. In addition to that, the Lions playing field, as a little boy growing up, I will go to the Lions playing field to look at football every Sunday, and the field will be packed with people looking at the football, exciting scene. You'll have national players being there, people like Kellan Baptiste, who's deceased now, but guys like Dalla, I don't know if you know Dalla, he might be too young for that. Right? Then you have Nixon, you have Patty, you have all the national guys will be playing in the Lions. And what I saw was that as the years passed by, all these things faded. So one of my goals while I was campaigning, I said, if I got a chance to be in office, I would look to address these things. And what I did, the Lions pasture was done for like 9 years, 9 consecutive years. Every year or every election cycle, you will see the folks coming to greet it, and then that's it.
I think we just lost the minister's video for a short while there. He should be back up. We experienced a little connectivity because I think he's actually on the move now. He's mobile, but he should be back up in a while. And folks, we have a sort of slight delayed in, so you will find him, speaking a couple seconds after the question or such. Okay. But I think that is all because of that. Yeah, Minister, you're back.
Right. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, you're back with us.
Disconnected.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then.
Yeah. So
right.
as you were talking about,
I left off, right?
Yeah, please do.
So over the years, so I would see these facilities, being deteriorated, and sports in general in the South on the low. So what I did immediately when I entered office, I decided to do some work on the Grenada court so that we can work on the basketball, the netball, and the tennis court. I can see now that we have refurbished the court and we have much more activities taking place now as it is. The Lions pasture, we spent over $100,000 to level the playing field. We spent over approximately $300,000 to light the playing field also. And I'm proud to tell you that, some weeks ago, a gentleman by the name of Brian Benjamin, who was a national player, he would organize competitions in the Lions ever so often. And Michael and Rudy, and I could tell you that after 12 in the morning, you had more than 100 persons or 200 persons there looking at football to the end. That in itself was such a pleasure to see, and it was a great joy. But not even that. Even in Montrouge, you will hear people saying over and over again that if you put some lights in Montrouge, you can enjoy some night football and night cricket. And we did just that. There are lights in Montrouge now. We even put our washing facility in Montrouge because in Montrouge, when people are playing, football, cricket or so, and they have to use the washroom, they have to go across to the Spiceland Mall to use the washroom. So imagine a player playing football, has to urinate, have to run across the Spiceland Mall, use the washroom, come back and play the game. So that was not good enough. So what we did, we put a washing facility there and a change room. Because if folks have to change and do all these things, then they will need a separate room for that. Can't do that in public. So that is Montrouge right now. And since then, we will pass in the night and you will see so much activities taking place in Montrouge. In addition to that, even Springs is a community that had a pasture. There's a school right there, South St. George Primary School. And for years again, a pasture without any lights at all. What we did, we invested approximately $300,000 in Springs to put lights in Springs so that in the evening, people can go and exercise, youth can go and play football, whatever sports they want to play. But we didn't stop there. Even in Woburn, you had a community center in Woburn, and we refurbished the community center, which is right next to the playing field. We are in the process of upgrading the lights in Woburn also. And as we speak now, there's a competition that is taking place in Woburn. And I want to say that sometimes we can talk about improving facilities, but we are not doing anything to encourage activities in those facilities. So I could tell you, I've been instrumental in sponsoring competitions. Maybe all the competition in Woburn since for the last 3 years, I've sponsored it. Maybe all the competitions in the Limes, I've sponsored them. All the competitions on Grenada Court, maybe 80%, I've sponsored them. Because I am passionate about sports and I want to see our young people get involved in things that will benefit them. And a simple game as football or cricket, it may look simple, but it could take them a long way. And for me, as long as I'm here, I will continue to invest in our young people in terms of improving the facilities and sponsoring them also so that they can grow in terms of sports. So that are some of the things that I've been doing in sports for the past few years. Yeah.
You mentioned the line.
So try about PL 543 asking you to move your vehicle because you're blocking somebody from entering into the yard. So please move your vehicle immediately. Score now 3.
So that's the sort of crowd you're talking about that way, probably around after midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, listen, if you know the lines, you have to turn off from the main road to go into the line. Listen, you couldn't pass in the road. There were vehicles parked for the whole Limes Road, even out to the main road, even out to the medical station. There were people in the road, there were people on the field, there were people, trust me, it was just a joy. I mean, and even back in the day, what I was speaking about, the crowd that we saw was even more than the back in the day crowd. That just goes to show you the amount of people that we had in the lines. So, but that's great because it shows that we're bringing back the spirit, we're bringing back, the action where youths can now get involved, and instead of probably sitting by the block and doing something negative, they can get involved and do something positive. And in doing so, they will be more healthy. Their community will be impacted in a positive way. Number 2. Number 3, it will even help their families and themselves, because at the end of the day, I've seen people like Brian Benjamin and Maki in the Limes and Femba and Billy. All these guys play football in the Limes from our neighborhood, the Limes and the Valley, making it a national team. And that's where it started in the grassroots programs like the Limes. And that's why, to be honest with you, I continue to invest because I want to see the change. Sometimes we can sit back and as leaders and talk about what is going wrong, what the youths are doing wrong. But guess what? What are we doing to help them? And that's why for me, it's very important to not just talk the talk, but to put some action behind it. And once I see people come to me with sponsorship for sports, I don't hesitate.
I
don't.
So all in all, I will continue to sponsor. I will continue to support our young men. I mean, the gentleman that prayed here earlier is just a lovely sight to see. Sometimes we have all the negative things to say about our young people. And when they do positive stuff, we tend to keep quiet. So I want to applaud everyone here tonight. St. Mark, you did well. Right, South, you did well. And I want to call St. Louis to just come 1 minute. Conversation with him. Right, we just had a chat. And he said, Minister, I want to ask you for 2 things. I wouldn't say what the 2 things are, but I happen to have one in my vehicle tonight. So I went for it. And
that is what you're referring to in terms of sponsorship,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, that competition there, I was instrumental in sponsoring the competition, but also, that young man that I gave, it was a laptop. He asked me for 2 things. And I happen to have a laptop in my van. And I say, you know what? He asked me for it. Let me give it to him. And you're talking about a humble person, great attitude. I can tell you his greatest, what to put it, from what I've seen from him, his attitude would make him reach far. Let me just say that. very humble. And it was a pleasure to see. And he's a good basketball player also. Very young, excellent. And that's what we have to do, is to give support to our young people. When they see folks like us, right? I mean, you, Michael, I mean, trust me, it's a privilege to be on this show. I mean, I've known, before I actually known you or spoken to you,
Yeah.
I've heard you, as a little boy, in media and so. And it's just great to be here having this interview with you. It's something that is unbelievable. But I'm saying, just like how I will look up to you and, and really admire the work that you have done. Yeah, we should do the same in terms of myself as a leader, to do some work so that the younger folks will look up to it and want to, how to put it, and emulate it. Because if that is passed on from me, from you to me, from me to him, then what we are doing is that we are building a community or society where the winner is sports and the winner is people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's the greatest drive for me.
Generational. You started off, Minister, not how you wanted to, because you talk about about greatest GBSS, and I don't think it went down too well with some of the fans who so they were from the earlys, they started like SAS and St. David's Catholic Secondary School and Theo, so you start something that you may have to back up somewhere or the other, but you spoke earlier, and Kyron wants to know, not sure if the minister touched on this, but are the restrooms at Montrouge operational? At our event in December, it was not, and it was told it needed to be commissioned first. So has it been commissioned as yet, the restroom?
So the Ministry of Youth and Sports, they are getting someone now to do the cleaning and so. So it will be commissioned soon, very, very soon. We have identified the person already. So it's just a matter of just implementing now and making sure everything is goes through. So
yeah, Rudian?
Yeah, you just started with sort of the question I was about to ask in terms of as good as we have seen infrastructure in those facilities, what is the maintenance process? In the past, we've seen things being built and then it just destroyed. So what is the maintenance process? Because that will keep the people coming instead of you have to be shut down due to poor facilities. So what is the maintenance process to continue seeing those facilities stay open?
Right. So what we saw before was that you have facilities, and again, some you have people in charge, some not. Right. So what we did is that as fast as we were refurbishing, we were putting people in charge. And what I did, for example, the Grenada court, you have a young man who's in charge of it. He takes care of the lighting and everything, not just the lighting, but the maintenance of the court also. As a matter of fact, we could have the backboards on the court. We could have gone outside and buy backboards, but we gave him the job to build the backboard, and he did a really good job. Fiberglass backboard with marine ply, and so excellent job. So in light of doing that, we rewarded him by also giving him the contract to take care of the court. And in Montrouge, we have someone who takes care of the field and everything. We are getting someone now who will maintain the washrooms on a regular basis. Right. In addition to that, and there are much more that we are doing. Even in Grenada Valley, there's a washroom facility in Grenada Valley. We just finished refurbishing it for the community, and we are going to get someone from the same community again to maintain it and to do all these things. So that's a goal, because for me, I share the same concern as you, because sometimes when you do things and you build stuff, you leave it there, it gets run down 1 year or 2 year, one end if that's the same facility that you did work on. So, so I share your sentiment, and we are addressing it as we go along.
Mm-hmm. And how are these sports, the infrastructure projects being financed? How are they being financed?
So my ministry, MIT, we have a budget for basketball courts together with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. You also have lotto playing an instrumental part in the playing fields, the lighting of the playing fields, and also work on the playing field. Lotto is also does. I mean, they do a lot in terms of assisting, but most of it is being done by the ministry, mainly youth and sports, and my ministry, MIT, got some funds to assist with the basketball courts too, and then Lotto in general. So that's how they are funded.
And on the screen, there's the question about should Grenada invest more in community sports infrastructure on national stadium upgrades?
Well, let me tell you, we are doing both. If you look at, for example, places like, okay, let me give Sar some kudos now, right? Let me give Sar some. So in Telescope never had lights before, never had lights. And Minister David Andrew, together with my ministry, we were instrumental in bringing lights to Telescope. But also Progress Park. I mean, Progress Park is like the national stadium for St. Andrew in terms of facility, where people can go and train and so. And what the Minister of Sport did, that's Mrs. Delma Thomas, she was instrumental to bringing lights to Telescope, to Progress Park. Yeah. So not just in the, and lights is important because without the lights, when 6 o'clock in the evening and places get dark, that's it, training is done. But with the lights now, folks can go home, they can, change, take a bath, do everything, come back out, and not have to rush in terms of training. So yes, we are assisting in the communities. You will see our cricket stadium, again, for the first time, being lit. Yeah, we had a cricket stadium for all the years without lights. Therefore, in terms of getting certain matches, we couldn't get it because once you go into the night, then, we cannot host those matches. So we are seeing sports infrastructure being improved. For example, in Grenville again, we just did a basketball court in Grenville about a week ago. The launch, we had the launch in Grenville with Minister Thomas, David Andrew, Tessa Sincere, Lennox Andrews were there in the launch. Yeah, so you can see a conscious effort from this administration to improve sports infrastructure. And it's from the grassroots, from the community to the national level in terms of the stadium and so.
Okay, and there was a question that was sent to me since I mentioned a few weeks ago that you'll be appearing on the program. It has to do with the tennis court and grandstands. A lot has been said about the facilities there regarding the basketball, for example, but the tennis court in terms of the fence and the nets and things like that. So question basically is when it will be completed.
So we got the fence. We just got the nets. We got the nets, and right now we are engaging someone to put up the nets on the tennis court. But let me just say this: there's a sport it's a new sport that's taken over now. You may know it. It's called pickleball. Not sure if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, pickleball.
So while we are getting the tennis going, while we are waiting to get the tennis going, we have about 3 pickleball courts on the tennis court. Let me just say that. And we have about 3 on the netball court too. So if you pass on a Tuesday, I think Tuesday and Thursdays, you will see folks there a lot of folks playing pickleball on an ongoing basis every Tuesday. Yeah. So it's not just for the tennis, but it's also used for pickleball also. And that's like one of the fastest growing sports in the world right now. It's a mix between lawn tennis and table tennis. It's like a in-between something. And it's fascinating. I played it I played it for like 5 minutes and I was sweating like crazy already. So it's a really exciting sport. So the tennis we are working on it. I would say before the end of the month, the tennis should be ready.
Okay, that's good news to hear. Rudian?
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly. Let's go back to the lights. Now, as good as it is to have the lights, we've been having a lot of success with our athletes across Grenada before lights. And everything certainly has been a success. And I know a lot of times now when I hear, there's lights, everything now want to be extended. On a weekdays, games want to extend it past certain time because we have lights. And I mean, to me, like, you're looking at the concern, it's a school night, it's a work day, the next day, those type of things, right? You have kids out late at night, as good as it is. But prior to having lights, Grenadians have been having many success. And we talk about training. Most people like to train a time and an hour they are actually competing in. Training at night and you don't play at night, it doesn't benefit you much in terms of that. Um, so as good as it is, having the lights. Here's a question for you that I didn't want to get in there, but I want to tap into it a little bit. What is the focus on your government for sports in Grenada? How important it is for you guys?
So before I get into the last question, let me get into the first comment, right? Now, I will counteract what you're saying and say, well, why not extend it into the night? Because what it means is that back in the day when you had no lights, yeah, you had to, number one, rush. Number two, you may have to give up something else in order to train in the period. But now you have the lights, you can be more comfortable instead of probably having to say, Michael, pick up my son for me because I have to go in the stadium and do something or whatever it is. You could go now, pick up your son, bring him wherever you have to bring him, and take the extra hour or two to relax yourself, and then you go train under the lights. In doing that, you'll be training even your mind will be more relaxed. Your mind can be more focused on training because now you have more time. Yeah. So that's just a counter argument for me in terms of back in the day, you may have to give up so much things. And maybe some people who had a choice to make, right? And they say they did not have the privilege to give up something else to go to train or to go to do something. They may be missing out on an opportunity, but now you have the lights. More people can enjoy the benefits of training. Yeah. Now, in terms of sports and my government, you have seen over the years, for example, our Olympic athletes, our athletes like Afi Fletcher and so, we have been rewarding them in terms of when they go, they perform and all these things financially and so. And even we had about 2 years ago or a year ago, we had a sports activity where we compensated a lot of our sports people. And I know that the Minister of Sports and her team have shaped a sports policy to make it not just ad hoc or according to who or which sport achieve greatness they get, but to make it equal across the board. Yeah. So right now we have a sports policy that really mandates in terms of what successes will be compensated or recognized in certain ways, and not just like for one person to say, let's do it for Junior Murray and not do it for Roald Lewis. Or let's do it for, Kiani James and not do it for Lyndon Victor. It's across the board. So for example, you perform in the Olympics, you get a gold medal, there are certain things that you get for that. You get a bronze, there are certain things that you get for that, and it's equal across the board. So yes, and we are doing things that were not done before. And again, the process is gradual. You have to start somewhere. We are starting here now, and we will only get better as years goes by. But I can tell you, the Minister Delma Thomas is doing her best. Every day in cabinet, she's advocating for our sports personnel across the board. Mr. Afi Fletcher just paid 100 T20 match. She got $100,000. Yeah. So all these are things that we're doing for our personnel and showing our commitment, and not just we're giving them money also, but improving the facilities. And I think if once we continue on that trajectory, we are going in the right direction.
Yeah, so I wanted to zoom in particularly on that while you speak, because the question I really was I was hoping to get at is that, are there plans to create structured programs that really connect, let's say, the schools, the clubs, and community facilities, because we can build the facilities, we can have the lights, all of that. But if we don't have the structured programs that connect from schools and clubs and communities, like for example, what you're doing in the South St. George, but on a larger scale?
But let's talk about the schools, because right now you have, since we came into office, we are coming from a period when entering PE teachers and so physical education teachers, there were not any. All right, no, we have. Yeah. So again, and that's what I'm saying, that's steps that we are taking to reach there. Right. So in terms of structure, yes, this post policy have the structure, and that's why we started by ensuring that all the schools have a physical education teacher that will work on students and so on those levels. Now, in my time, we had it. I don't know what happened as time passed by, but we had it. In GBSS, we had a teacher called Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Right, in high school, we had Vida Bruno, and they were instrumental in terms of developing students for intercall and football and netball and all these things. Somewhere along the line, we dropped that, and I don't know why, but we are trying to bring it back now. So again, guys, I just want to say that that it wouldn't happen. Everything would not be perfect overnight, but we are taking steps to get there. Okay. If one look at the last 3 years, we will see that we have improved a lot to where we were, and we still want to add more in the future in terms of sports and developing it more and all these things. Yeah.
Kyron Batiste is asking, how will the infrastructure development support both elite athletes and community participation? And hinting, time to continue the discussion of a covered facility or a complete indoor facility. Right.
No, and I just want to say that again, guys. And I agree that, remember, let's just reflect where we're coming from. And I know we want everything, in one day. But guys, the truth is that I will not be doing justice if I come and tell you, what, everything will just happen tomorrow. Boom. Right. Kyron can tell you, if Kyron has some competition on Grenada Court for the last few years, and I want to big him up for that. But prior to 2022, right, to July 2022, if you want to state of Grenada Court, the walls were falling. It was like a garbage heap. Yeah. So now you see it now, it's much better in terms of lighting and all these things and the cost. So we have to, it's a case where we know we can't do everything one time, but we have to plan it out. Yeah. And I just want to say that court is 50 years old. It was built in 1974 also by the late Eric Machugeri. So it's an old court. We did our best in terms of the concrete and everything to make it proper for playing conditions now. And we have a 6-month program where every 6 months we go to do the refurbishment on the court to make it look fresh. Yeah. So the next step for that is for the Grenada Court is to cover it. But in addition to that, in terms of basketball, Mr. Philip Telesford, Honorable Philip Telesford, who is the Minister of Health, has an excellent plan to cover the Library Court as well. It's in the region of over $1 million, and he is really trying his best to get the funding to do an indoor court right there. So I'm just saying, if you just give it some time, you will see the progress taking place, because we are eyeing that also in order to bring the indoor court. And when you do that, then you can have more athletes from outside coming in, because and even playing with the guys, because in terms of the injuries and all these things will be less prone if you have an indoor court, proper indoor court. In terms of the elite, go on.
Yeah, no, I was saying, don't mind a lot of questions about basketball and things, because generally you will say that most of the times we have discussions tend to center a lot on track and field. They tend to dominate. Of course, we're into the track and field season, but so you're trying to give a lot of kudos and exposure to some of the non-traditional sports in a way. So that's why you see a lot of things popping up regarding basketball. But continue on the elite aspect of it, please.
Right. So, in terms of the elite, right? And I saw someone ask about the hardwood court.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to. Once you have the indoor court, then you're going to that. But guess what? If you just go to you can just go to the hardwood without even addressing the low-hanging fruits in terms of those that you have outside that people come and play on every day. So the idea is to move from that now. We are no, but we are still doing it. But to move from it into the next phase in terms of having an indoor court in terms of with the hardwood and all these things, that's the idea. In terms of the elite athletes, we are a little way from it, and it's a work in progress. I can tell you that the Minister of Sports, she has her plan and her team has their plan to reach to that level. But as it is now, we are not there yet. Let me just say that.
Chenny is suggesting some seating for the Montrouge playing field, possibly some aluminum bleachers. He says that could be considered.
Excellent idea. Yes, excellent idea. Yeah.
All right. Because I know a lot of focus have been put on to the Montrouge in particular. Rudian?
Yeah. As much as they're talking about the basketball, I think what's really needed is an indoor facility for netball. As you can see, netball now.
Hold on, Rudian. Not indoor facility for netball. Indoor facility for sporting activities, because netball, basketball, all of them can
play on the same court. So, yeah. which is what I was going to say. An indoor facility. I was going to say an indoor facility. Certainly an indoor facility that that can hold both netball, basketball, indoor tennis, and even the same racquetball and foosball. All these things of them can be done in one, but it's a community. It's not covering just a court. Talking about a structure that can hold all of this thing, because you can tell how big netball is now. Netball is big now. There are tournaments, and you can go abroad and play now. So we want to expand our females as well, not only in track and field on the netball on football, but to netball as well, that they can go outside and play abroad. And you can tell how our netball team is in the Caribbean, or our netball team playing the OCS.
All right, so Kim Fullerton give you the right thing. Multi-purpose
facility.
I love that discussion, because guess what? 3 years ago, we will not be having this discussion, because sports was like DEAD, dead, right? Nothing basketball in terms of basketball. Go and see. Listen, the guys are playing on basketball on a court where you couldn't just see the 3-point line. Yeah, you're walking and you're trying to watch the line and you can't just see it, because some parts have lines, some parts have nothing. Yeah. Montrouge, no lights. The lines was like it was dig up for years, nothing. So no, I'm glad to see in terms of we coming in and we made all these upgrades, and now we are talking about going to the next level and the high level. And I want to say, guys, that's our aim also. The aim is to get to that standard. When I spoke about the indoor basketball court, the indoor court that Minister Telesford wants to bring to Laborie, that court will encompass not just basketball alone, but netball also. Yeah. And for this year, we have plans. The Chantine tennis court is one of the oldest tennis courts that we have, one of the most famous tennis courts on the island. If you look at it now, it's not the best. And we have plans through Lotto to upgrade that facility also. So, let me just say that you will see plans being made to upgrade existing facilities, which was, not in the best state for years. And then we are also working on plans to bring it to the next level. But I'm glad to see, the discussion, the way it's going, because it shows that now people believe that we can do it, and that athletes and Grenada deserve the best and not just the mediocrity.
Well, one of the reasons we have you on the program as well is that when the minister comes to cabinet, she will have at least one support. She will have, hoping that she has, most of the support, but at least one person who will be with her is MP Andy Williams, who will be able to say, well,
but I can tell you, our whole cabinet is sold, because we have a plan to refurbish most basketball courts on the island this year. We have a plan to light more playing fields this year. Yeah. We have plans to even build more community centers this year so that our communities can benefit. If you look at even our Prime Minister too, he brought about 1,000 cricket kits and we distributed to primary and secondary schools throughout the island. So, and all this is because we believe in sports. Yeah, we believe in sports. So in terms of being sold, I can tell you we are sold on it. Sometimes what will restrict you is the budget that you have, because you have to, to divide your budget in a way to address more than just sports or other things. But I can tell you, over the years, we are being really putting our best foot forward in terms of trying to improve the facilities and even our sports personnel. So, yes, while you're speaking, I'm taking notes in my head, and I think we are in a good place.
Well, I'm glad you spoke a bit on the whole issue of basketball because, yes, when it comes to track and field and probably cricket and other football, they basically have the facilities, right? Once upon a time, basketball was king sport in Grenada, and we had facility to an extent. Well, we've seen improve now, but there were basketball competitions in Guelph, Victoria, Sotels, Grenville. In fact, the only parish without a facility at the time would have been St. David, and then we had Carriacou without. But you had the Carnage, for example, you had Laborie, you had Grandance in St. George, you had Guelph, you had Victoria, you had Sutton, and they had competitions. Grenville had its competition as well. I used to be, myself and the late Jericho, we used to be going across the island in the night, basketball competition from one to the next, things like that. So, but over time, we have seen the demise of the sport, right? And then the facilities, etc., etc. And during that time, we have seen track and field, for example, going to the rise. We see football with all, playing fields, football taking place, things like that. So we are now seeing, it appears to be a sort of resurgence in terms of basketball on the island, and with the facilities, as you said, in the south of the island in particular. We saw Grenville just recently, the hard court in Grenville. But I'm certain there will be people who will be saying, what's about our community? What's about Guelph? Probably the refurbishment of Guelph, for example, to bring back that in Guelph, in Sotels, etc. What are some of the plans, Minister, that I mean, you're not a Minister of Sport, but in terms of improved facilities across the island?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part of your question. You went mute.
What are some of the plans in terms of improved facilities, sporting facilities across the island? So, we know that South St. George probably got its fair share so far, right? Others might be saying, Minister, can we also have something?
But not only South, we did some in Marquis. In Marquis, we did over the basketball court. We did even the backboard and everything. We did all that in Marquis. We actually did the one in SAS school also. We did one in SAS. Yeah. We did one in Montmorris. We did one again. So we have done a few basketball courts, not only in the South. I started in the South because you asked about the South. Yeah. But we have done more than the South. Let me just say that. Yeah. And we have a budget this year to continue doing more this year. But remember, we're coming from a stage where, the years, I mean, sports took a dip, because even the facilities, as William was mentioning, there was no maintenance. So in terms of the facilities were, left to deteriorate. And if you have bad facilities, you cannot expect people to go and play and all those things. So we have done, in terms of basketball, we have done a few courts already, and we are continuing to do more courts this year. So by the end of the year, I
think we Minister
pause.
just frozen there for a minute. Yeah, let's see if he will return shortly. To need to have a long, right. So while the minister gets his feedback up, as you know, he is remote, I should say. He's a bit remote, so he's having some technical challenges there. Of course, it's I assume it's weekend and he's moving through. He did say something about that, moving through. Yeah. Kim says, upgrade temporary band aid, need to have a long-term plan. Chenny says, there will always be ideas for additional sporting facilities. However, a strategic plan for sporting facilities should be discussed and plans for their implementation over the next 10 to 15 years.
15 years, yep.
In place, yep.
I agree with that, Chenny.
Clef says, no facilities agree will generate more interest, but as people, lights or no lights, tracks or grass, we made away. Chenny has a question for the minister, so I wait until the minister returns. I think the minister is talking about refurbishing the existing facilities. We are more focused on a strategic development plan for modernizing our facilities.
Facilities, yep.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. But yeah, so right. So the minister has returned to us now. I apologize, Minister. I know you're remote, so you in and out. But there was a question here for you. Chenny says, Mike, can you ask the minister this question for me? What is the government's plan to introduce semi-professional sport in Grenada? Is this something on the card for the short to medium term?
And I would say yes. Yes. Right, yes. And but before I lost signal, I was saying that not just in the south, but you have other part of the island that we have done a lot for sports and the facilities. And the plan this year is to continue it. Everything will not happen at once, but the idea is to every year do what we can to improve our facilities when it comes to sports. And when we do that, then we can see more participation among our young people and other people in general. Right? To Chenny's question, the answer is yes. And our Minister of Sports, which is Minister Dilma Thomas, she's doing her best. She and her team, they have, and again, the sports policy, and they have a lot of things pointed out there. And they're going to follow that policy going forward so that the plan will be realized and not just doing things ad hoc, but to do it with a plan and a purpose. So that's the aim going forward in terms of sports.
I always tend to ask and get the views and, in different ways from our guests on the program. And asking you this, Minister, beyond competition, how do you see sport helping to address social issues affecting our young people?
No, number one, sports teaches you discipline. Number one. And when we talk about sports, we sometimes think about the basketball, the cricket, the athletics. But you have like the draft tournaments, you have the dominoes, I can tell you.
Chess.
The chess. And I mean, I don't think there's anyone in Grenada that's better than me in dominoes. I can tell you that off the bat. Yeah. But but all those sports, it teaches you discipline. When I was 20 years old, let me just tell you a story. I was 20 years, right? And I was playing for the Grenada Breeze Club. Yeah. That's with Mr. Knights and all these guys. And that's dominoes. And I told my parents I was playing for dominoes in a club. And they wanted to travel to Guyana. And my parents didn't allow me to go. As a matter of fact, they was not too, keen on the idea of me playing domino in a club. But what they didn't know was when you are playing domino on a professional level, you cannot drink, smoke, no drugs. You have to be so focused. If you're playing domino, you have to know every single card everybody play. So it helps you to focus. And even for me, going to school, domino into university, domino helped me in multiple choice and all these things. So sometimes we think about sports as just the right. You're getting me now, eh?
Yeah.
So I just break a signal.
Yeah. Mhm. You are minister.
Right. Okay, good. Yeah. So for me, yeah. So for me, sports help you to focus. It help you to keep discipline. It even helps you physically too, in terms of your health, and it promotes teamwork, because no, you have to understand that if you're on a team playing basketball, cricket, or whatever sports you're playing, it's not you alone. You have to incorporate the team. From that, it helps you in your community, to build a camaraderie, to work together, to focus, discipline. And I think if we can promote that, then it will help communities. So my next project is in Montu pasture. Montu is a place that I think that I'm paying much attention to now. So we're going to start grading the pasture in Montu, and we are going to put lights in Montu pasture also. Yeah.
I'm certain you saw his question. Don't pretend, minister.
What is that?
Talk about domino. She wants to know if wasn't Lyndon Victor.
No. No, I mean Lyndon. I have to give Lyndon a little, encouragement. I cannot beat him all the time, So tell Lyndon we have a rematch.
All right, Lyndon. You have to remember that there's a rematch coming up between Lyndon and the minute. We'll have that. We probably have that stream live. So there wouldn't be any thing. But Clev Deputy wanted to know about something regarding public transportation the Sunday of Carifta Games, which is Easter Sunday. I know it has been a concern for people regarding transportation on the Sunday of, it's just, well, I don't know why just the Sunday, because Monday is also a holiday, and equally important. Sunday and Monday equally important in terms of the Carifta Games. But public transport for the Carifta Games during the Easter weekend, it was an issue in 2016 when we hosted it, 2024 when we last hosted it, and possibly, in the next few weeks we hosting it again. And the issue of transportation during those days, particularly the Sunday and the Monday. The Saturday is okay because it's a normal day in terms of market day, etc. But the Sunday and the Monday in particular too is Easter Monday. It's a holiday, and then the Sunday, which people particularly in the outer parishes may want to come to the Carifta Games and unable to because of transportation.
Right. So see this is a kind of ticklish. Yeah. You have private individuals operating a public transport system. So that's the case, that's where it becomes ticklish. If it's a case where the government controls the public transport system, then we have no issue. So I think it's bigger than just the Carifta. It's a bigger question or discussion we have to have on a holistic level. Yeah, if I have to give, because I can give an answer to it now, but it depends on the private individuals who operate the public system. So if I say, Michael and Rudian, I want you to come out and provide transportation on the Sunday, and you say, hell no, I stay with my family, nothing we could do, because it's the private individuals who owns the buses that controls a public system. So that's the challenge we have. Like in the USA or in the UK also, where you have the transport system being managed by the government, then you have no issue there whatsoever. But in Grenada, that has been a system for years. And if you have to change that system, you will get a lot of fight here, there, opinions here, there. So it's something that we really have to have a wider discussion on and see how we go forward. Because unless we do that, we will continue to have these things happening.
Yeah. What role should private sector sponsors and the diaspora play in developing local sports facilities, Minister?
Well, I believe it's an equal. Well, let me just put it like this, and I want to just go to Carnival and I want to come back to sport, because when you have things like Carnival and so you have an influx of people coming in and they have more business and the private sector will benefit from it. When you have, for example, sporting activities, the private sector also benefits from it. So if you ask me, the private sector should play an instrumental role in sponsoring, because at the end of the day, the bigger the activities are, is the more business that they will get. Let's take, for example, you're selling drinks. According to what drinks you're selling, we have a sporting activity, your sales will go off the charts. Yeah. So as it is now, everyone kind of sits back and depend on government to improve all the facilities. And we are doing just that. And we are doing our part. But good question, and I'm saying that the private sector should be involved too. But how I would like to see the private sector being involved is to help, like one simple example, adopt a school. Sometimes I go to sporting activities and I see children running without spikes. And I'm wondering, boy, how, because I know when you run on that rubber track, it can be irritating for your foot to keep on going on that all the time. And you see them at a young age running without spikes. I would love one of the private businesses to adopt a school and to help in that aspect of it. In that way, you are helping them at a young age to get accustomed to the professional, equipment and so that is needed for the sport in terms of your blocks and all these things, just starting block and so. Yeah, when I was like 12, 13 years, that was the first time I used a starting block. Yeah, but if you go to the US, you have children at how much age, how young. They start with that from a young age. So when they get these things, they know exactly how to use it, and and they're much more experienced. So I would love to see the private sector sponsor more basketball competition, more netball competition, more tennis competitions, all those things. Because when we do that, they will benefit, but also we are helping to build better communities, and they will benefit also from a better community. So that's what I would love to see in terms of them.
Yeah. But and Rudian is something we have spoken about time and time again, because yes, we ask for that, but sometimes we see the schools, for example, Minister, the best costumes and for March Pass, and then right after that, the kids without shoes running. It does not necessarily have to be spikes, it could be shoes, running shoes, right? And so priority sometimes just upside it down, because they put a lot of resources, a lot of emphasis. In fact, they will go and request sponsorship for costumes for the kids to do the March Pass. And then the kids are actually running without shoes.
Well, Michael, if I should add in there, like we have the same issue out here here in Toronto. And one of the things that we talk about it a lot. We have so much meetings about how we get the private sector and as big companies get involved. But we got to look at it too. If you're going to ask a private sector, like in home, how does so is a question now, how does the government come and play a role in terms of incentive? Out here in Toronto, there is a tax. There's a tax receipt that they will get, and they will get something back from the government. Do you guys thinking about putting something in place where these businesses can get something back in that sense, so that they can start investing in sports or schools, because there is something back for them? Is the government thinking of putting something in that role?
Rudian, before the minister answer, under the sports policy, there is a incentives for
a clause. Yeah,
there is incentives for businesses. It's just that I don't know if it's if they utilize it, but
that's what. Yeah, in terms of if it's public, is it public to the people?
For businesses to
for business.
Yeah, and even not
you
just
have something in the policy for that. Yeah.
Well, not just
as you were saying, Michael.
sponsoring, but even, for example, if you have sportsmen and sportswomen in your business who are preparing for national duties, for example, they are given the required, they should be given the required time off, etc., etc. And under the sports policy, there is some way that it can be rebates or whatever it is, but there are incentives.
Yeah, Michael, and I know, and because I read the policy and I seen it in there. But my thing, like here in Toronto, that same thing is there for those businesses, for people who works. We know that for a fact. But do the businesses know that?
Well,
that's like how do that? Yeah, that's the question. How do they know that there is incentive for them if they sponsor? Like that's sort of the question I probably should have asked. How do they get to know that there is incentive for them? That they're not out there reading the sports policy to say that reading the sports policy. No, is it falls on whoever is going and ask should put that in play, letting them know that there is incentives.
But I know the guys for the Ministry of Sports went out and was publicizing these things on the policy, right?
Yeah.
But also, as a business, it is your duty to find out also. If yes, we can go out and reach people and tell them about it. But in addition to that, I don't want to take away from the businesses even, trying to find out also, because we may not reach everyone, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I know they went out to, to talk about the policy, what it entails, and everything. So yeah.
And going back to some of the fields, can getting those businesses to even sponsor and put in resources in some of the fields. What incentive is in for them? Can they field name after them? Can they get the name on the field? Like I'm saying this, right? Adopt the field. I'm listening. When we go for the same thing out here, it's the same question they're asking us. What is in it for them? So I just, a businessman is a businessman. Would they ask the same thing? What is in it for them? Is that something that the government is willing to put in place, that hopefully more businessmen can put into, when I say men, not only men and women can put into those facilities?
Yeah, but I want to add to your whole thing, because all one needs to have is a conversation. Yeah. For example, we have, I have some credit unions in my constituency that came forward and offered to adopt certain grounds. Yeah, and in doing so, they will be able to put certain advertising stuff of their company in the ground so that they can benefit. In addition, some of them wanted to put even a Wi-Fi. So when you go to the ground, you can log into and use Wi-Fi. But they have a way of, when you log into it, the advertisement will come up one time on it so you can see what they offer.
The portal.
They go to the portal. Yeah.
So all these are things that are happening, So sometimes all what needs to happen is a conversation. And I think now that businesses see the rise in sports now in the country, more of them are coming to us and showing interest in terms of assisting and looking at the ways that we can benefit and they can benefit, and the community and the people can benefit also.
Awesome.
So, and as Michael was saying, the sports policy have a lot of things that even they could benefit. And I know the Ministry of Sports went out. They went out and they were actually, ponging it, in terms of what is in there, how they can benefit and so. But again, nothing wrong in actually doing it again and keep on ponging it, because everyone may not get it at once, but if you keep on saying it and pushing it, people might get to know more about it. So yeah.
So true.
As we get ready to wrap up, the minister, Grenada Olympians Association will be collaborating with businesses to ensure all athletes have spikes. This shouldn't be in this era where kids are not wearing spikes. Klebs is saying to rest in peace. Kenneth Smalley's Noel, a keen competitor in the intercall meets for PBC in the 70s. He left us on Friday. May his soul rest in peace. Liz said spikes are too expensive. Well, Liz, well, running shoes. Well, shoes, you know. Maybe spikes are too. You know. Clef said donated over 400 spikes in the past and is dismayed when I see the young ones running barefooted. There should be a locker room to store the spikes upon graduation, especially if they're not moving on, you know, into track and field, because we have some of them who, you know, go into various sports. Chenny says during the period 1987 to 1997, the government sought employment for national athletes who were on their payroll, but these athletes were training year-round to represent country. My recommendation to the government is to hold a forum with the business community on the sports policy and solicit their support.
The support,
their support. Well, I think there's some who may still be, you know, I know that in that case you're referring to folks like the Junior Murray, the Royal Lewis, and others who at that time they were working through the Ministry of Sports, you know, as what you call coaches, you know, and they were out in the playing fields, you know, coaching athletes. Well, in this case, it would have been cricketers, etc., things like that. So, but using our experience and former sportsmen and sportswomen as coaches in the districts. Minister, always a pleasure having you, and so much happening in the South. We really appreciate that things happening there, but I'm certain that there are others who will really like some of that South development to come, whether it's north or east or west, you know. Some I say.
Right, but let me just say something here, guys, because for my constituency, I take my constituency very serious.
Right, I appreciate that.
And my background is a business background. In business, you promote what you do. So it may look like if maybe the South have everything is happening, maybe it's because I'm promoting what's happening in my constituency, right? I mean, you know, if you have a business and you have a product and you're not advertising your product, that's a recipe for disaster, right? I came from a hotspot where I had to fight among giants in the market to make a name for myself and to compete. So, in one strategy to do that is to promote what we have, what we do, everything. And I bring that same strategy to my constituency. So it may look, for example, like the Grenada school is having something. Right now, Woburn is having a football competition. The Lions just had one, Mon Rouge. And you will see all these things happening. It doesn't mean that in the other constituencies it's not happening. They may just not be aggressive as me in terms of promoting what's happening. Yeah. So, for example, let me just give you like an example. We just installed 100 solar street lights in St. Patrick, and that's to make our community safer. As it is now, my ministry, MIT, we are installing some in St. Andrews Southwest, that's Minister Dennis Andrews' constituency. You know, I know they are doing some promotion of what's happening. I don't know the extent, but I can tell you, when it comes down to the South, you will know what's happening in the South. It doesn't mean that the others are not getting it. Just means that, you know, that's my constituency and that's my style of promoting what's happening in my constituency. Yeah. So I can tell you, St. Andrew, marquee basketball court, done up, SAS. In the school, we had to repave it. We repaved the whole basketball court in SAS. And we did the lines and everything. We did the painting and so on it. Telescope, playing field, never had lights. Progress Park, no have lights. Grenville basketball court, we painted and everything. So a lot is happening in St. Andrew also. But again, it's to the extent of how much it is promoted.
A lot is said about this, but so we hardly mentioned Karakou in the mix. You know, what's about Karakou?
Yes, because Karakou, and it's happening in Karakou also. But remember, Karakou is coming from Beryl, where everything got destroyed. So in that sense, during the recovery process, the playing field was used to store some of the debris and stuff from the hurricane. All that was removed, and so it's getting back to a place of normalcy now. But Karakou had a little setback in terms of Hurricane Beryl in 2024. And a lot have been happening there since. Minister Tevin Angel has been doing a lot. Right now, he's looking to publish one of the basketball court there. to do it over and start from scratch. Yeah. And the playing field, he's also working on the playing field also going forward.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, what message would you like to send to young men and women in probably your constituency in South St. George who aspire to represent Grenada at some level in sports in particular?
So, once in sports, you're a young man, you have interest in sports, and you want to excel, check me. 2 words. Check me.
Not check you,
Right.
not as a coach, though, but I'm kidding about that.
It's frozen there for a second.
Yeah, frozen for a second.
Right. So yeah, calls keep on coming in. So and that's what happening. Right. So check me in terms of I can give the support. I will anything I can do to help you propel. I will.
Okay.
That's me, guys. I love sports. I came from a sports background, running for GBSS. 100, the 200, the relay, with guys like Nixon and Bo Peep and Robbie Celestine and all these guys. That's the area where I come from. Fabian Blake, Stacey Beggs, all those guys.
Yeah.
So, once someone says sports, I get excited. So I will do whatever I can do to help in any sense. I can give advice. If someone from my constituency asks me, what's the best school to go? I will give them the best advice, in terms of the best school. Right? And I know they will do good,
But just as how you started, you might have to end. So Edwin Sam says, goal looks best on the green vest. Good luck to all next week, Minister. And by the way,
big up yourself.
Yeah, and happy belated 46th birthday to you. I think it was last month, right? February?
Yeah. I get it all, Michael, I get it all.
Happy belated.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay then. So very much. Thank you very much, Minister, and nice seeing what you're doing in the South, and as I'm sure it will be comforting for some of those who are asking about other sporting facilities, in terms of like tennis, for example, and these sort of things. I'm sure it will be comforting, as you said. Basically, you're saying you have just started, and there's a lot of more work to be done, right?
Yeah. Yes. And for me, let me just end by saying this. For me, Michael, Rudian, and your guests on, it's just about service, right? That's all it is for me. So in this position as being MP, it's just being in a position where you can serve even more. And how I take my role is not to say that Andy's a minister or MP and like a big boy or whatever it is. I try to stay humble as possible, to listen. Even from this conversation, I'll go back now and make some notes from it and see what we can, what I can take away from it to improve. But it's about service to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martinique. So, and that's my aim. And I think if we do that, then we can make Grenada a better place and we can help improve. Sometimes I see people travel, and that's why I value this conversation here today, because sometimes as Grenadians we travel and we come back and we don't try to adopt some of the stuff that we see overseas here, and the country may be suffering for years, because of lack of vision, lack of trying to implement what other countries did before, and not trying to reinvent the wheel. But you see the successes. All you have to do is just adopt it, and that's it. So for me, it's about service. It's about trying to do our best to improve the lives of our people, and on a holistic level. And let me just say this lastly: our population is approximately 65% made up of youths. So it means that if we are neglecting the youths in Grenada, we are neglecting 65% of our population. The RGPF gave a report about 3 weeks ago to myself and cabinet. And, what we saw some communities had more, level of crime than others. One of them is a prominent community in my constituency, and my aim now is to work with them to bring some more positive stuff to the communities. For example, not just sports, but like in Montu, I'm working with some guys who are doing a studio now. So even guys who can sing, and so the talent can be, can elevate to the next level. And while I'm speaking here, I'm seeing that we have Senator Civil Francis online, and she's doing a wonderful job in the Ministry of Youth and Sports together with Minister Delma Thomas. So I want to say, Civil, big up yourself. Continue the great job you're doing, because they are the support. They give me the support in terms of what I need to implement some of these things in my constituency. And if it wasn't for them, then I couldn't be able to achieve what I'm achieving now. So again, it's about service. It's about us as a government trying to do our best to move Grenada forward. It's not about any ego or so, but it's just about seeing what we can do. The further you go in terms of having responsibility, it means that the more you have to give service of yourself. And that's my aim, to serve as long as I'm in this position, and that's the aim of our administration also.
Before you run off, did not see pans donated to Belmont Springs.
we are working on that. Yeah, we are working on that. The pan, see guys, let me just say something, right? Everyone can say, I ain't see this, I ain't see that, I ain't see this, I ain't see that, I ain't see this, I ain't see that. Remember, it's money and it's a budget. So you have to prioritize. So you may not be able to do everything one time, but you have to prioritize what you do first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And once we do that, then just give it time and you will see the progression of progress taking place.
Yeah, so true.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you for the time. It's your second time on the program, and I appreciate. Certainly, it's not the last time. We'll talk again. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I want to end by saying, great is
I have to be mutual on the program. I have to be mutual on the program.
Great is the GBSS. Hi guys.
You can say it.
It's okay. It's okay. Great is in McDonald College.
I know you believe that.
Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Soon. All right then.
Okay then. Lovely.
Yeah. So that's Minister Andy Williams. He's the Member of Parliament for South St. George, giving us a full update on what's happening. Penelope, I think you may have came in just a bit late because he spoke about the library court upgrade and the start of the program, a little higher in the program. Yeah. I think he said the MP, that's Mr. Telesford, Philip Telesford.
He's working,
he's working on that. There's a plan or whatever it is to upgrade. Well, in terms of upgrade, not only that, but listen to me. The library facility is one where there isn't much you can do in terms of space and all of that to the library facility, right? Because how it is, it's kind of difficult to even expand. You can probably renovate, etc., but in terms of expansion, no. And then you have the issue of parking and all these sort of things. That is a bit complicated because it's actually in a residential area, right? It's almost as and houses basically on both sides, right on the side of the road, etc. And it's sort of complicated. I'm certainly will have to get engineers and all sort of people to come up with a plan that can make it something. Whether it's to put parking, probably at the top or somewhere below, or something. But it is. So Liz is my former teacher at primary school, right? And she's trying to get me to say things that I'm not too much, can say. Teacher Liz, you know that is not welcome, because you taught so many of us. And we have gone in all sorts of directions. Like Royal Titus, for example, he decided to go to another school on the hill, right? Right? I decided to go to another one, So, and then come on. So I have to be kind of neutral for now, right? Probably if I was alone on the program, I have to respect Rudian. Rudian could afford to say that, because yeah. But certainly. Oh, so she is saying that. Thank you. I'll check back. We are hoping to get parking on the roof. Oh, that's so something like that. Yeah. So that sounds a little better in terms of that. So the parking on the roof. Yeah, that to me, because I know the last time I went, I don't know if you know the area, Rudian, but it's actually in the village of
I
Laperi.
passed by. Yeah, I passed by one
Well,
time. So
no, well,
yeah,
listen, you
yeah.
will pass it without knowing. That's
You
what I'm
don't
saying.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you will
passed by.
pass it
Yeah,
unless there is some
yeah,
activity taking place and a lot of
yeah,
vehicles there. Other
yeah.
than that, on a normal day, you will pass it without knowing,
So they
because
even know.
it's
Yeah.
just as a normal place in the community. It doesn't really stand out as this major facility, right?
Yeah.
Unless you
Yeah.
go into it, then you see,
Into
hey,
yeah.
well, this is a, yeah. So I guess as much there's a lot of work to be done to transform it into what it should be. Check us out sometime. Yeah, I will try to check it out. Um, Civil Francis is saying there's a plan in place to acquire additional land to the back to extend. Engineers already completed the plans for the parking, etc. That's good to hear. And
Good. There's work being done.
Francis
Yeah.
is she is the senator. She is the more like the junior minister in the ministry. So we getting it from good source. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Yes, I appreciate it. As you were saying, MP Andy Williams represented her ministry well,
Very well.
because he
Yes.
spoke a
Yeah.
lot about sports and things like that. But it's
He's
good
not.
to hear about that.
Yeah.
So, Penelope, to just let me put that up again. So, from the ministry, they're saying that there's a plan in place to acquire additional land to the back to extend, and the engineers already completed the plans for the
Yeah.
parking in particular, because that in itself has been a very complicated issue in terms of the parking. I've gone to the facility a couple of times to watch basketball there, and I know the parking has been an issue.
Parking. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when the matches, especially in the night, for example, you go there and then you have folks parking in the driveway of others living in the area, and all these sort of things. You know how it is, yeah, but it's nice to know. By the way, and the library facility is iconic in itself, because it's hosted some matches of when the Windward Island Secondary School games. They hosted some of the matches, things like that. So it's iconic in itself. So it's good to see that they're doing the thing. Chenny is saying that the River Road Hard Court is a great location for an indoor facility. Chenny, that may be so, but my only concern with that, Chenny, is that what is the engineers say about the flooding, right? I know flooding has always been an issue until we do that, because even in the south of the island, the Montrouge area, Montrouge is a flood prone to an extent.
Yeah.
There are times when Montrouge is basically underwater.
Underwater. Yeah.
So and they always have said that area of the trade center, youth center area would have been ideal for a multi-purpose indoor facility. Lo and behold, then we had the Olympic House that came right around that area.
Right around the corner, yeah.
And there's still lands that are available in that area that could have, but I don't know. I remember at one point in time, there was talk that the hoteliers in the area, they were against an indoor facility, a sporting facility in that area there. That was the talk. Never got it confirmed from any of the hoteliers there, but that was the talk at the time. That they were
top of the time,
yeah, they were against that. But in terms of a facility, in terms of parking, all these sort of things, to me, that would have been an ideal area.
An ideal spot,
just to take it away from the Queen's Park area, to be exact, right? We have to look to sort of decentralize some of these. At one point in time, Rudy and we were talking about somewhere in St. David, for example, for the aquatic center. The aquatic center being in St. David. The only thing that folks have to understand with these facilities is that when you build in these, what you call international facilities, facilities with the hope of hosting regional and international sporting events. There are certain criteria that are very important.
Very
It
important,
has
yes.
to be proximity to health facilities, one.
Yes.
Yes, so like for
Must.
example, the
Must.
stadium, whether it's athletics, football, international football, athletics, cricket, they always look, when the venue managers or the venue officers come, they always tend to look at the distance between the
Yep.
facility and the general hospital
And general
for
hospital.
medical. Yeah,
Medical,
even though
yeah.
you'll have medical facility on site in terms of the ambulance, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But in the event that you have to move someone from the facility to the hospital, that is why sometimes you will find the police putting no parking advice regarding certain areas, except example, Cemetery Hill, all of that, because that will be based on the, well, I know from the, for example, with the Grenada Invitational, these were sort of the things that they will take.
Look
So
into,
in the event of a medical emergency, you use the Cemetery Hill all the way down Church into or they call it Hospital Road into the hospital. So these are the things that people have to understand when you talk about facilities. Yes, you can build those facilities, etc., but sometimes when you look at in terms of hosting, that's another aspect of it. But if it's for the community, etc., I don't have a problem with that. You know, that doesn't negate the fact that we need improved facilities throughout the island.
Yep.
Whether it's St. Patrick, whether it's St. Andrew, St. David, we need that.
Certainly.
And I'm hoping, as the MP says, other members of Parliament probably will start saying what they are doing, or what they have done, right? He is saying, hey, listen, I'm saying, and everyone can see it. For example, the basketball tournament, or not the basketball, sorry, the football tournament that went with all these big celebrations way into the morning, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning in the lines, for example. I found the video online, and it wasn't just himself. There were a lot of people who had videos about it, enjoying themselves there, you know? Yeah, because it's under the lights. As we say, a few years ago, that wasn't possible. Now you have most of the facilities that lighted, etc., and you know, we want to see more of that. Yes, Mike, can you ask Senator for an update on the new swimming pool as well? Ooh, Senator, if you're still there, if you can, you know, that is a very important question. Yeah, the aquatic center.
The aquatic center, yeah.
Yeah, because I know we had the official ceremony, or they call it the
groundbreaking, yeah.
Yeah, for the the groundbreaking ceremony, official groundbreaking ceremony for the aquatic center. But what's the latest in terms of that? And I think it came up on something within the last week. Oh, in fact, last weekend was the National Swimming Championships, and it was at the Good Hope swimming pool, right? They're still hoping that probably we can get an update as to the condition, or the status rather, of the aquatic center following the groundbreaking ceremony a few months ago. If the senator cannot, then we probably find out we probably get an update. The GASA might be able to tell us as well, because they should be in contact with GASA, because as we know, the funding has been secured, right?
Yes, it has.
Funding between, I think, the government and the International Sporting Federation, I think the Grenada Olympic Committee, through the IOC, whoever they involved. But in terms of funding, and I think government was the one to put forward the lands in particular, and the Swimming Association, that's the International Swimming Aquatic, will put up the funds for the actual facility. The important aspect of swimming is that the maintenance, the pool maintenance, very, very important. It's all about having swimming facilities, but Rudian, as we saying, in all these facilities, from them, the main problem we have is maintenance.
Maintenance, always. It's always maintenance.
Yeah, maintenance,
Yeah,
and
maintenance.
it tends to be, and probably, by the way, a lot of the facilities that the minister has been referring to, or some of them were facilities that were there already.
Yep.
It's just that badly
It wasn't
maintained.
maintained. It wasn't
Yeah.
maintained.
So you have to
Yeah.
refurbish and in some cases rebuild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a big activity on Sunday. I think it has to do with the grand final of the GFA. I think it's the GFA Cup, if I'm not mistaken, right? The GFA Cup, is it that they call it?
I think it's something. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's between strangely, Rudian, it's between the Queen's Park Rangers, right? And it's Queen's Park Rangers, and surprisingly, two of the teams that were not Queen's Park Rangers and Paradise FC, as a matter of fact. Sorry. So someone asked the question, where is St. John's Sport? The big bad champions of the Premier League. I mean, they just
Yeah.
But it's Sunday. Oh no, I'm seeing Saturday. Why I was thinking Sunday. What is taking place on Sunday? So it's actually today at 6 o'clock. Sorry, folks. So it's today. That's what I'm seeing. Oh, new day. Oh, so they actually had. I knew it was on Sunday. So they said, sorry for the inconvenience. See you there. So it's actually saying now new date alert. The 2025-26 GFA Super Cup final will now take place on Saturday, March 14, which is today, at 4, kicking off at 6 p.m. Well, under the lights, folks. It's Paradise FC International versus Queen's Park Rangers FC. So, folks, in case you have something that you want to check out later, football at the 4 recreational grounds, 6 o'clock this evening. Yes, please go support, man. Go and support. There's a lot to cherish in terms of football. Rudian?
No, certainly, and it's a facility that has good stands, and we'll talk about the lights. So certainly, that will be a good game. It's always good to hear Queen's Park Rangers again. It's it's a name that was in my days was a team that was just running there. But
don't start things and next thing Chenny start to come and say about this and that kind of thing. No, don't start a thing, man. And you know your boy was
I know.
Rudian, do you used to look at me and this and that? No, but, hey, Rud, intercall, boy.
Yes.
That's my logo, man. Intercall 2026. I hope you like it.
You have too much green in there. What's going on?
All right.
Yeah, too much green.
All right. So that's Intercall logo for
2026.
Yes. But listen, while we're on that, before we wrap up, Rudian, I know there have been some discussions online regarding the championships and things like that. So, but here is what I have regarding the Intercall. Let me see if I can get that. The Intercall, right? This year in particular, let me see if I can get it. Yeah, look at it here. These are the years of Intercall. As you see, the last in 2025 under the girls, St. David's Catholic Secondary School, and then we had the Grenada Boys Secondary School. 2024, St. David's and SAS. 2023, St. David's and GBSS, and then we had the years of the COVID, right? COVID. Yeah, of COVID. But what we do know is that for 2026, both the GBSS and the St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School, SAS, they are on 21 victories.
Yeah, tiebreaker.
21.
There's a tie. Yeah.
21, yeah.
21. Yeah.
So the champion this year, well, between them, because supposing McDonald College wins, you know what I mean? It means that they remain on 21.
You're not 21.
You know,
They had to go
yeah.
another year.
Right. They'll have to go another year. Supposing PBC wins, as PBC is claiming. I think congratulations to PBC on winning the secondary schools basketball. And I'm certain they're feeling somehow, rejuvenated that they stand a chance of winning. Supposing Boca Secondary School in the girls. I mean, listen, supposing SAS in the girls.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Intercall 2026 Rudian will be no other intercall as previous years. Why? I think there are previous years when we could have basically say, hey, this seems to
this person winning. Yeah, this school is this school. It's not no more. It's not anymore.
Yeah, we could say St. David's doesn't want. They need to show up, or they can just show up with a few athletes because there's little or no competition for them. There were years when we could have basically said that. This year, I believe, and judging from the meets that we had, including the national champs, the relay meet, all the mini meets, all these, we cannot definitively say. It may be so after, but we cannot definitively say, Rudian, that this school or that school is, is a winner.
Is a winner. No,
let me give you one reason, Rudian. I am saying that. For example, there are so many clubs operating now. So, for example, I cannot say that we have seen the full extent of, let's say, SAS. Why? There are a couple meets that they competed as SAS, and some of the athletes competed under ACE. Some of the athletes competed under another club, even sprinters, etc. The same thing as the GBSS.
Same thing as the Boca.
Yeah, and Boca.
Yeah.
And all these things.
Yeah. So, and the Kenhari.
Right. So I don't think, even with St. David's, for example, Trailblazers, you have Trailblazers, you have St. David's Catholic Secondary School, you have sprinters, So they decided to compete in their various clubs or schools, etc., etc. They did not compete as a school per se.
The school,
So I don't want to vouch and use that as a gauge to say, hey boy, GBSS looks good or SAS looks good or McDonald College or no. We have to, I believe that all schools will show up on Tuesday on zero.
Remember, everybody started at zero.
Yeah,
everybody started at zero. Or they say everybody have 100%. Everybody have 100. Now he's going to start trickling out. Who can stay with 100 will win.
Yeah,
so it's like everybody start at zero.
Yes, and I want to agree with that. Everyone starts at zero because we have not even seen what probably Hillsborough Secondary or Bishop's College have to offer. Yes, they have been affected by the hurricane, etc. But we don't know, and they have over the years. They have shown some strength, especially in the field events, for example.
But I was about to say, Michael, field alone could win a championship. Just the field. Just if you are dominating in the field, you could win a championship. So you have to also look at that as well. I mean, I when I was watching the primary school sports, one of the things that gets me was St. Patrick's had the best year ever. And that wasn't on the field. It wasn't dominating by St. Andrews. St. Patrick's was very good on the field. A lot of the points came from the field compared to the past few years when it comes from the track. So the field, a lot of schools realizing the field events is a factor. Field events are a factor. So, it's something that schools really got to look into. So definitely, like we said, anybody can win. Everybody have a chance. Regardless of how many people they have, ABC's done a good job. They probably do. They like we said, they probably do. But we know a lot of people will be coming to see those two schools on the hill. Both of them is on a hill. I don't know which hill is higher, but both of them is on a hill. And certainly, and I think it will be a good games. And I believe, Michael, this intercall, including the match pass, let's not take that away, will be one of the best we ever seen.
Hold on, Rudy, there are no points for match passing intercall.
No, there's no points, but just watching it and seeing the drama of it, and I'm just saying.
It's not even a spectacle in intercall. They just go through.
They just have a go through. It's not like before, but going to the on the track and field, I believe it will be one of the best years of intercall we have seen in a long time.
Yeah, and
the reason for that is because there are things in place like the clubs that will help that to be one of the best intercall ever.
I think we have to give the clubs a lot of credit. Yeah. The clubs played a very important role in that. Yeah, they played a very very important role in that, and we have to give them credit. Right?
No, we do. We do have to give them credit. And Michael, and I seen it, and like I said, me, even being Magdalene College, being from St. Patrick's, seeing Magdalene College going and win the Western Games without a club in the parish. Without a club in the parish shows that you put a club in the parish. What the comeback of winning another title for Magdalene College certainly could be in the near future. Over the past, how much years they've been having these intercall games, they win 5 or 6 intercall. And I think once they put those things in place, and not only for St. Patrick's, don't think that they St. Mark's and they St. John. Once you put a club in those areas where kids get the opportunity to understand the sport, I think we're going to see really good competitions across Grenada, and it's good for Grenada, because then we could look at the day soon will come when we could win the character games.
Rudian, without probably will ask the folks that, but give me your top picks for Intercall 2026.
I'll put me in a little hard thing, I am going to say, I want to start from the third spot. I want to say Magdalene College. And I want to say GBSS and SAS for the boys.
Really?
Yeah.
So you said for the boys who?
For the boys. It will be Magdalene College third, GBSS second, and then SAS.
And for the girls?
For the girls, I seen a comeback. I going again. I will see. Tough one. And I think SAS could win the girls, and St. David's coming second. I mean, I've been watching, I've been studying, and people have been sending me little clips and stuff of athletes, and I think SAS is really ready. I think they're really focused to coming down to win both titles this year. Now, if it happens, I don't know. Both titles.
Both titles, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I can put, and that's why I say top picks, because there are people who will just say, this school would win, that school would win. For me, I believe that, as we said, as a start, all schools, they have a chance of winning. But when it comes down, I think it has to do a lot with team management.
Yeah, team control.
On the days of competition, how you manage the personnel you have. Because you can have a very large team and so many things can happen, so many things can go wrong. Athletes can get injured in pre-warm-up.
They get sick. They feel sick.
Right? They can get injured during competition. You can drop patterns for crucial relay points. So many things can happen. So it all depends on these things and how you manage your your team members, because a team can have probably, a composite of probably 30, 35 athletes.
Yeah.
And then they have those who probably can have 15 and 20 and still can manage it and win.
Yeah.
Right?
And I've seen it done, like I was mentioned, I've seen it done in the NCAA, where I see schools that just have field alone, because 40 points, 50 points can make you win an NCAA title. And I've seen all those points coming from a field or the distance only. It doesn't come from the sprint. It doesn't come from the relay. It can just be the distance only.
No, but in the intercall, unfortunately, Rudy, and in the intercall, it may not be.
It may not be so. That definitely wouldn't be so. But I'm just saying that I think the field this year, this intercall play a crucial role. In the team winning. Play a crucial role.
If a school can have a balance points from the field and the track and managing properly. I think a chance. I want to agree with you regarding the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School in the girls, right? I think it's one school that may be able to really challenge the St. David's Catholic Secondary School.
Yeah, honestly.
One school I have not heard a lot from this year has been Anglican High School, who has been, very much competitive over the years,
they have been,
and I have not. They're more on the quiet side, I think. Since
and that's a scary thing, eh?
Yeah, since the demise of Tanking Bullets, which used to be basically the
GSS,
high school, they have kind of withered away in terms of prominence, right? They may be because of the clubs we have and things like that. So the athletes may be competing in the various clubs, MVP. All these other another school that we have to look at in terms of points, folks, listen to me. You may be concentrating a lot on the SAS and the GBSS and St. David's. You see that St. John's Christian Secondary School, they have been doing and listen.
No, definitely.
Mr. Gary James, the brother of Kirani James, has been doing a lot of work with the St. John's Christian Secondary School. By the way, not just in track and field. He has been working with them in basketball, in various sports, right? But what I have seen last year in particular, yes, George and all the others, but there's and by the way, he also has a club, right? In St. John's, right? It's also assisting. That is another school that I believe can take some valuable points, because you see, over the years, the GBSS and SAS rivalry has created this thing where most of the points always from these two schools in particular. But when you have the other schools come in and they can be deciding factors, right? They can take away crucial points.
That's like every point matter. Every point matter. Yeah,
like how
everything matters.
Christian Secondary School last year in the sprints with George in the 100, 200.
The 100, 200, right?
So we have to be mindful of these things, right? That there are schools with athletes that can create that sort of almost like a buffer and maybe even create confusion for the points, right? Crucial points for schools. And you'll say, boy, we lost some crucial points in those events because of these schools, etc., etc. So these are the things that you have to be mindful of. I don't know, a lot of folks just GBSS, SAS, green vest, blah, blah, blue, all these sort of things. But you have to look at these things. If you have been following the track and field over the season in particular, looking at probably last year's, and that's something I always try to do. I look at last year's results. I find out who are the athletes that are still around, that are probably moved from junior to senior, or probably first year junior to second year junior. So therefore, they still have a chance and can dominate that, because last year they were around as a first year junior. This year, second year junior, some of their competitors or their challengers have moved to the senior.
No longer there.
All these things are things that you have to look at. And
you have to look into, take into consideration.
Yes, and they can be determining factors as to who can dominate those events. So that's why I'm saying that I know St. David's Catholic Secondary School over the years have been a dominant in the girls in particular, but
Yeah.
I believe they can get
Yeah.
some
They can
challenge
get some challenge. Yeah.
St.
Yeah.
Davis from the St.
Yeah.
Andrews Anglican Secondary School is one. We have not heard a lot from
And they can
Anglican
hire.
High School. Boca is
Yeah.
also around. And
Boca is out.
if only St. Joseph Convent, St. George can do what they're doing in the March Pass on the track and field, they can stand a chance. Unfortunately, no. If it's March Pass, give it to them.
Give it to them.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. When it comes to that, give them their flowers.
Yeah.
When it comes to
They've
track
had.
and field, the other schools have that,
Yeah.
but definitely.
And that's the thing too. Then you have your schools that has the weapons in terms of different sports. You understand me? And you tend to see that a lot with schools who are very strong in some areas and weak in other areas, right?
Yeah.
So you don't look at them because Magna College is good in football and they win they win the boys and that type of things, right? No, and track and field is different. Don't look at PVC, who is actually PVC actually give us a beating yesterday in basketball.
Yeah,
I think like 50 something to 30. Yeah,
basketball.
a bad beating, and they are very good, but are they good in other areas? So
and you see, it builds our point. You remember when we said about we had the whole argument about maybe School of the Year and people were debating about
yeah.
But look again, McDonald College in a final of a championships, and
these
are the things I'm talking about when we look at the overall
school the overall performance. Yeah.
They did not win, but here again they were in another final.
In another finals. Yeah.
Right? They're in another final of another sporting discipline.
Another sporting discipline.
So football in how many divisions? The women.
Yeah. And even going back when you start even doing like with track and field, they win the Western Games. And I know it's not compiling to the bigger one, but it shows that they are still competitive against the Western schools. Now they got to go against all the other schools now and put things together now and see what they can do, right? So it builds momentum. It builds a career. Yeah.
No, but it builds the argument we were making about in terms of somebody asks the question, how do you determine about the schools? And I was
the schools of the year. Yeah.
Look at the various sporting disciplines, and if you have to give them points per se, you look at a school that probably featured in the finals of probably 6 or 7 sporting disciplines and finals or whatever it is like that. So, and definitely they're worth being recognized as a top school. It's not just one school winning intercall, for example, which is just track and field, and you crown them as the school of the year.
School of the year, yeah.
But what's about the other schools that probably was second and third, and then in other sporting disciplines they dominated it, whether it's football, whether it's cricket, whether it's whatever it is. So these are the sort of the factors we had used.
Yeah, the factors we have to use. Yeah.
That's it. Ruyan, so next week, God's willing, we'll be talking Carifta, by the way. It will be post install, definitely, but we'll be speaking to Carifta. We'll have the officials from the local organizing committee to talk Carifta Games 2026. And then the following weekend, we have another track and field club in Grenada to come and discuss about the just as how we did
we're
looking at that, and then we go on to another sporting discipline after that, because then it will be probably most to the end of the track and field in Grenada in particular. Then we go on to some other sporting disciplines and things like that. So, but for the next 2 weekends rather, we'll be
2 weekends.
Field. It will be the Carifta Games. We'll have officials of the local organizing committee. They have confirmed already who will be speaking with us. And then we'll have Mr. Simon from that club in St. Andrew that will be speaking to us regarding the club, because we have seen the club's expansion in Grenada. And hopefully we can see some of these clubs move into other sporting disciplines, especially for those who in the club do not want to be just track and field, but they want to be involved with other sports. So you have a better standing. I keep saying that you have a better standing as a club with proper structure, etc.
Structure.
When you
Yeah.
have other sporting disciplines, right? Not just track and field, but probably a club has football, volleyball, netball, whatever it is. So you get more people involved, right? It means that you probably may be able to attract even more in terms of sponsorship and all these sort of things, right?
Certainly.
These are things that you will have to look for.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rudian.
All right. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Until next week. Have a good
Yes,
one.
yes, all the best, Rudian. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay then. Yes, folks. So let me put it up. Next week, God's willing, we'll be having Carifta. Yes, Carifta. We'll be talking about the Carifta Games, which is April 4th to the 6th. You can, by the way, tickets are available. And also, folks, for those of you who wondering, Intercall. I know someone asked about that. Intercall is March 17th to the 19th. I still can't understand why people still saying that they thought Intercall was later than that when since earlier in the year they came and they explained that the dates, the shuffling of the dates had to do with the cricket and etc. But they said that Intercall 17 to the 19th. I wouldn't be surprised if after Intercall people will still be asking if Intercall is scheduled for later in the month. I wouldn't be surprised because listen, Teacher Liz, I have my questions, and I've assisted you with that already. Every year I try to refresh and get some more questions and things, but keep that as a reminder. Definitely, we want to do probably the last segment or something like that. So we have a quiz or something like that. So a sports quiz, but definitely something. As soon as I'm finished on this program, I'll be kind of jostling in my mind in terms of that. Probably reach out to some of my colleagues to find out how best we can do that and put that into the part of the program. So when we finish the program, we can go into the quiz and things like that. So, but in terms of the questions and all of that, I think it was the GUT. I can't recall. It was the GUT I assisted with some questions some years ago, and I still have the file somewhere around, and things like that. Talking about the GUT, folks, this is one of the things that I always tell folks about when we're talking about sports sometimes. Well, this was actually, I try to keep my, what this is? Scotiabank Intercall. I'm very sponsored by Scotiabank. I don't think we have Scotiabank again. That is Intercall programs. I don't think we have Scotiabank again. Scotia. So I go through a lot of these things, even Character Games 2016, a lot of information I have. I go through a lot of these things sometimes and try to refresh myself, all these things, refresh myself on some of the performances of our track and field athletes and look at some of the results, look at some of the scorecards, all these sort of things, and kind of get myself prepared, even though I may not be there in person, but I try to see how much I can, get my mind ready for these things and have some level of knowledge regarding our athletes, our past athletes, etc. Even in the back, right in the back, I have results from and things from 2012 Olympic Games, with our competitors back then. I found something some weeks ago. I found something from the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. That was my first Olympic Games, rather, in 1996. I found some of those things there. I even found a cap. Yeah, I didn't realize I had a bag with a lot of things in, from 1996 Olympic Games. Yeah. So I don't really boast about these things, but just that, I wish for the sake of our athletes upcoming, and when I say athletes, I'm speaking about our sportsmen and sportswomen, the Olympic House can be a place where they can dedicate a part as a museum. So there'll be times when you can take these kids and bring them there, and they can see whether it's a video of our athletes competing back then, how many years ago. They probably heard the name of this athlete, whether it's Hazel Regis, whether it's Aline Francisque, whether it's, Rondell, whoever it is, and not just the Kirani James. And they will see those athletes, even photos of Donald Pierre, and talk about the Lane brothers and all these sort of things. Athletes would have competed at the character games and all these sort of things. And we're talking about digital archives. So you can type in the name of an athlete, and here comes something about that athlete, something you can say. There's also the idea, I think it was suggested on a program some time ago, where at the stadium, for example, even the cricket stadium, the football athletic stadium, you can have barcodes. So when you get there, you can scan. Everyone has a phone these days. You can scan the barcode, and you can get information, digital information about our past cricketers, our past footballers, our past track and field athletes, these sort of things like that. So you don't need so many things, plaque or, all these sort of things sometimes. Don't need those things. I mean, space is limited, but you can have a barcode. Scan this barcode for more information on our sportsmen and sportswomen. And they do that, and believe me, the amount of information they'll be able to pull up digitally, that's the way, technology, because all it means, you just put it in information digitally online, and it means that it can be updated at any time. And once they scan it, they have it there. And even if it means, a year from now, they go back on it, they don't have to go back and rescan. They just go back on whatever it is like that, and they can see that information updated on those folks. Yeah, folks, that's a lot for now. Thank you very much for the company. Always a pleasure having you. Looking forward to your company next weekend, God's willing. Don't forget, once again, folks, it's Intercall, March 17th to the 19th, which is Tuesday to Thursday of next week. That's at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium, our Intercall. And then following that, we have the Character Games, April 4th to the 6th, which will be the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the Easter weekend to be exact. So you have, lots of activities that you can check out. And later on this afternoon this evening rather, at the Full Recreation Ground in St. Patrick, it's the final of the GFA Super Cup. It will feature Paradise FC International versus Queen's Park Rangers FC. That's at 6 o'clock. Kickoff time at the Full Recreation Ground. So, no reason why you can't go out and, go out and support our sportsmen and sportswomen. I'm certain there are other sporting activities taking place up and beyond. Of course, there's no track and field this weekend, simply because you have the Intercall coming up. By the way, say, congratulations to, St. Andrew. We said that already in terms of the primary school. Yes, they won it. And in terms of the private primary school, Alpha Junior School. Yes, congratulations to all the schools that participated in First Choice, St. Mary's, all these schools that really created that sort of excitement. Listen, man, I enjoyed those kids competing, and I'm still asking the question why it is they're not part of the National Primary Schools Championship. Give all of them the opportunity to compete. But, despite what it is, it has been an argument over the years. I still think that that's a niche that we need to look at because the competition was keen, rivalry, competitive. And by the way, don't forget that a lot of the athletes that you are looking at these days in the secondary schools that are competing and very competitive came from the private primary schools. Cassius Stephen is one that you know of. When you go way back to Sean Lambert, who held the national sprint records, 100 and 200 meters for many years until Nazio John, broke it about 2 years ago. He came from the private primary school. And there are a number of others who came from the private primary schools. So they have played their part as well over the years, and it's good to see that that they're getting that level of attention as well. I still believe that you need to see them integrated. But despite that, it was keen and lively competition. If you want, you can go back, check TNR Communications and look for the live link. Look for the link and you will see what I'm talking about regarding the keen competition. Of course, there'll be folks who will want just to see the march past. There was march past the place. A bit too long, a bit too long. I think it took away a lot from the meet itself, and I will hope that come next year, God's willing, they'll try to manage it a little better. There's no reason why the athletes should be running, the kids should be running so late into the night, and I think it had to do too with the march past and thing. You had good weather, but if you manage it properly, this year, as they say, was sort of special because Stop the Violence was one of was the theme really. So all the schools basically were trying to do a display surrounding the theme, and it sort of drawn it a bit. But kudos to the organizers of the private primary schools. Kudos to Huggins for their continued support over the years of it. Thank you very much, folks. All the best. And do join us next week, God's willing, for another program. This time we'll be talking about the Carifta Games being staged in Grenada. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.